The offseason report cards are in. ESPN has handed out grades for all 32 NFL teams, and today we're focusing on the AFC West. What did they love? What did they hate? And what does it mean for the Las Vegas Raiders heading into 2025? Let's break it all down. Starting with the AFC West, because let's be real, that's where the fireworks always fly. According to ESPN's analytics expert Seth Walder, the Denver Broncos earned the highest offseason grade in the division. With big changes and bold moves, Denver's betting on a new identity. In fact, some analysts already have them pegged as the most likely threat to dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs. But what about the Raiders? That's where things get interesting. Between a fresh coaching regime, key roster shakeups, and the looming challenge of Week 1 against the Patriots, Las Vegas has entered a critical chapter. The expectations are high, and the pressure even higher. Pete Carroll begins his first season in silver and black, and the mission is clear: bring structure, bring identity, and bring pride back to Raider Nation. The path won't be easy. The division is stacked. The margin for error practically non-existent. And while analytics never tell the whole story, they give us a starting point. Respect them, but don't worship them. Just like the eye test, they're a piece of the puzzle. So as we scan the West, one thing is certain. The AFC's wildest division is ready to explode. And if the Raiders want to rise, they'll need to fight harder than ever before. Let's dive deeper. A lot of people are riding high on the Denver Broncos heading into 2025. And the reason is simple: defense. In 2024, their defense carried the weight. While rookie quarterback Bo Nix earned praise for his composure, it was the defense that set the tone and paved the road to the postseason. And ESPN's Seth Walder seems to agree. Walder's favorite move of the Broncos' offseason: re-signing defensive tackle DJ Jones. No surprise there. Jones was the anchor of that front, and bringing him back keeps their identity intact. Defense first, hard-hitting, no apologies. But Walder wasn't sold on everything. The move he criticized: Denver's failure to bolster their wide receiver core. With Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy gone, the weapons around Nix are thin. And that's risky when you're hoping your young QB makes the leap in year 2. Still, the Broncos walked away with an A-, the highest grade in the AFC West. Next up, the Los Angeles Chargers. A playoff team in 2024, the Chargers earned a solid B. Their most notable move: drafting North Carolina running back Marion Hampton in the first round. It was a smart insurance policy, especially with Najee Harris dealing with an eye injury after a July 4th fireworks incident. Hampton fits perfectly into what Jim Harbaugh wants: smashmouth, ground and pound football. Walder's favorite signing: offensive guard Mike Becton. A strong interior lineman who was also on the Raiders' radar, Becton is expected to make a major impact, both in protecting Justin Herbert and opening lanes for Hampton. What didn't Walder like? The Chargers' lack of urgency in adding edge rushers. With Joey Bosa's health always a question mark, that could prove costly in a division stacked with quarterback talent. Then we arrive at the Kansas City Chiefs. Grade: B-. Their biggest move was trading veteran guard Joe Thuney to the Bears for a 4th-round pick. The move that ESPN liked most: signing veteran backup quarterback Gardner Minshew. He brings leadership, experience, and an insurance policy for Mahomes. But Walder criticized the signing of offensive tackle Jalen Moore, questioning if he's truly a fit for a line that's already in flux. The Chiefs are clearly trying to rework their protection for Mahomes, but it remains a work in progress. For the first time in years, Kansas City looks vulnerable in the trenches. That brings us to the Raiders. Las Vegas received a B, matching the Chargers. Their biggest offseason move: trading for quarterback Geno Smith. It was a calculated decision. Instead of reaching for a rookie in desperation, the Raiders brought in a proven veteran, one Pete Carroll knows well. It allowed Las Vegas to stay patient in the draft, focus on roster needs, and avoid the costly gamble of forcing a franchise QB pick. This wasn't just smart, it was stabilizing. And in a division where chaos reigns, that matters. Geno Smith may not be elite, but he's exactly what the Raiders needed. He threw for over 4,000 yards last season. Not perfect, not top tier, but he's knocking on the door of that top 15 quarterback conversation. And for the first time in a long time, the Raiders enter a season where they actually have an advantage at quarterback in multiple matchups. That's something they couldn't say in 2024. Trading for Geno was the most important move of the offseason. It brought stability, experience, and leadership to a position the Raiders have struggled to anchor. ESPN's Seth Walder agreed, but the move he personally liked the most: re-signing defensive tackle Adam Butler. When Christian Wilkins went down last season, it was Butler who stepped in and held the line. He didn't just fill a hole, he earned himself a 3-year contract extension. And now, with Wilkins still a question mark for training camp, Butler might be asked to shoulder even more of the defensive load. He's a grinder, a locker room leader, the kind of veteran every young defense needs. But not all the offseason moves were met with applause. Walder's biggest criticism: drafting running back Ashton Jeanty at number 6 overall. This one sparked debate long before the draft ever began. Some questioned the value. Others saw the raw talent and wanted him in silver and black no matter the cost. So what was the issue? From an analytics standpoint, drafting a running back that high is tough to justify. Running backs, while exciting, are often seen as replaceable, undervalued, and underpaid across the league. When you spend a top 10 pick on one, you're investing premium capital in a non-premium position. You lose the financial edge that teams typically get from rookie contracts. There's also the opportunity cost: passing on elite talent at positions that are much harder to fill, like edge rusher, offensive tackle, or wide receiver. And that's exactly what Walder pointed out. Jeanty might become a star, but in today's NFL, even stars at that position don't always move the needle the way linemen or pass rushers do. The concern isn't about Jeanty the player. It's about positional value in a league that builds around quarterbacks, trenches, and pass rushers. That one decision dragged the Raiders' grade down. But here's the thing: sometimes heart overrides logic. Raider Nation believes in Ashton Jeanty, and if he proves the doubters wrong in year one, this whole conversation could flip on its head. On paper, drafting a running back at number 6 overall might raise some eyebrows. But context matters, and Raider Nation knows the story behind the pick. The Raiders finished dead last in rushing in 2024, last in yards per game, last in attempts, last in production. It wasn't just bad, it was unacceptable. And that's why Ashton Jeanty was brought in. Now, if you're going to take a running back that early, he can't just be good, he has to be great. He has to be the kind of player that changes games, changes game plans, and forces defenses to account for him every single snap. He has to become the heartbeat of the offense. Can Jeanty be that guy? That's the bet the Raiders made. ESPN's Seth Walder questioned the move. Not because Jeanty isn't talented, he is, but because of positional value. Running backs don't carry the same weight in contract negotiations. Their shelf life is shorter. And in a deep draft class loaded with rushers, Walder argued that similar talent could have been found later. From a numbers perspective, it didn't add up, but numbers don't tell the full story. Need does. And Las Vegas needed someone who could ignite the run game. Jeanty brings explosiveness, vision, and pass-catching ability. He isn't just a ball carrier, he's a weapon. If he delivers 200-1, 300 rushing yards, adds another 300 through the air, and becomes the engine behind a revitalized Raiders offense, nobody will care where he was drafted. Could they have taken a tackle like Mew instead? Sure. And yes, fans talked about that possibility endlessly leading up to the draft. But ask yourself this: Would Mew, or any other player on the board, have given the Raiders what Jeanty potentially can? Could they have changed the entire identity of the offense the way he might? Because that's what this is about, identity. Pete Carroll and the front office saw a roster that needed more than just upgrades. It needed balance, physicality, urgency, and Jeanty brings all of that. If this pick helps Geno Smith settle in, opens up the playbook, and sets the tone every Sunday, nobody will be second-guessing it. The silver and black made a bold call. Now it's up to Jeanty to prove them right. Let's shift the focus to the story that's quietly becoming one of the best in the NFL. The return of Pete Carroll. After stepping away from the game and spending a year at USC as a professor, Carroll is back, this time wearing silver and black. At 73 years old, when most are stepping away from the sidelines, he's charging back onto them. And on September 7th, he'll become the oldest head coach in NFL history, surpassing Romeo Crennel's previous mark. But Carroll isn't here just to chase records. He's here to build something meaningful again. He's already made history in two other places. In 1997, he took the New England Patriots to the playoffs in his very first season. Then, in 2010, he did it again with the Seattle Seahawks. Now, he's looking to complete the trifecta with the Las Vegas Raiders. And he's not just a coach. Pete Carroll is a leader of men, a culture builder, a motivator. His fingerprints are all over Super Bowl 48, and his impact goes far beyond the field. He's written books on leadership. He inspires belief, structure, and resilience, and that's exactly what the Raiders need. Week 1. It's Raiders versus Patriots. Carroll versus Vrabel. Yes, Mike Vrabel is back too, this time as the head coach of the franchise where he once lifted 3 Lombardi trophies as a player. It's the first time in NFL history a player has won 3 Super Bowls with one team, only to return as its head coach. And just like Carroll, Vrabel isn't here for nostalgia. He's taking over a Patriots squad that's been 4-13 in back-to-back seasons. But now, with his fire and experience, New England is poised to rise again. 2 battle-tested coaches, 2 programs trying to find their way back, and 2 franchises that couldn't be more different, yet connected by the men now leading them. Pete Carroll and Mike Vrabel. Raiders and Patriots. Week 1 is about more than just football. It's about legacy, redemption, and the belief that great coaches can change everything. Pete Carroll's mission in Las Vegas is simple: make history again. He's already done what few coaches ever have, taken multiple franchises to the postseason in his first year on the job. He did it with the Patriots in 1997. He repeated it with the Seahawks in 2010. And now, in 2025, he has a shot to do it a third time with the Raiders. The challenge? Enormous. Las Vegas has only reached the playoffs twice since their Super Bowl Crosby loss to the Buccaneers. That's tied for the fewest playoff appearances in the NFL during that span, alongside the Cleveland Browns. The Raiders' last postseason win, 2002, the second longest active drought in the league, trailing only the Dolphins. This isn't just about rebuilding. It's about ending 2 decades of frustration. So, how does Pete Carroll turn this ship around? As Damian Woody put it best, he's the youngest old guy I've ever been around. Carroll's energy is electric, his leadership is transformational, and his identity is clear: defense and a punishing ground game. That's why the Raiders drafted Ashton Jeanty at number 6 overall. That's why they traded for veteran quarterback Geno Smith. These aren't moves for a slow rebuild, these are win-now decisions. The Raiders aren't waiting. They're going for it. Geno brings stability to the most important position on the field. He's not a rookie gamble. He's a battle-tested pro who thrived under Carroll in Seattle and now gets a second act in Vegas with the coach who believed in him the most. But the road ahead won't be easy. Just a few years ago, the Raiders chased splashy moves, signing Jimmy Garoppolo, trading away valuable draft picks for Davante Adams, and it backfired. The roster wasn't ready to challenge Kansas City, and the rebuild was inevitable. Now, the AFC West is even tougher. The Chiefs are still the gold standard. The Chargers are loaded. The Broncos look reborn. All three made the playoffs in 2024. For the Raiders, they start behind the 8 ball. Can they close the gap in just 1 year? Some analysts believe Carroll will elevate this team beyond its talent level, as he often does. But others see holes. Offensive line depth, questions on defense, and an overall roster that might not be playoff ready just yet. Still, there's belief, real belief, in the foundation being built. The chemistry between Carroll and Geno Smith matters. It's not just X's and O's. It's trust, redemption, and shared belief. Geno's career was reborn under Carroll. Now both return, looking to revive a franchise that starved for respect. Is it a playoff year? Maybe not. But if this is the beginning of something real, if the Raiders play with fire, toughness, and identity again, then 2025 won't just be a step forward. It'll be the start of a new era. One thing is already clear about Pete Carroll's Raiders. This is going to be a run-first operation. That's Carroll's identity. It's what he built in Seattle. Marshawn Lynch, Kenneth Walker, tough, physical, relentless backs who set the tone. Now, he's got Ashton, Jeanty. But here's the key difference. This Raiders offense has balance. Jeanty isn't just a bruiser. He's a versatile weapon who can catch passes out of the backfield and stretch defenses in space. Add in tight ends like Brock Bowers and receivers like Jakobi Meyers, guys who thrive in play action. And suddenly you've got a team built for more than just power football. The Raiders finally have options. And that matters. This setup mirrors the early Seahawks teams. No flashy superstars, but tough, efficient, and dangerous when the run game is working. Carroll isn't looking for highlight reel stats. He's building an identity. He's building a winning formula. And don't forget, Brock Bowers is just getting started. If the Raiders get even average quarterback play from Geno Smith, Bowers is going to feast. But here's a wild reminder of how far this franchise has fallen. The last time the Raiders won a playoff game, Ashton Jeanty hadn't even been born yet. Let that sink in. 2 decades without a postseason win. And yet, this might finally be the team that changes the story. Pete Carroll has done this before. Patriots in '97. Seahawks in 2010. Both playoff teams in his very first season. He's proven that his culture can spark instant change. And if he can pull it off again with the Raiders, that would be legendary. The AFC West. It's a battlefield. All 3 other teams made the playoffs last year. The Raiders, they're starting at the bottom. But Carroll's done more with less before. Remember the 2010 Seahawks? They made the playoffs at 7-9 and won. That was the Beastquake game. That was belief. That was Pete Carroll football. So maybe the Raiders aren't as far away as it seems. Fans are starting to believe. Some say this team is being underestimated. Some believe Carroll can pull it off again in year 1. And when you hear respected voices across ESPN finally giving the Raiders serious airtime, it's no small thing. This franchise has been in the shadows for too long. But things are changing. A new coach, a new quarterback, a new era, and maybe, just maybe, a new ending to the same old story. There might not be an official chant inside Allegiant Stadium, but Raider Nation never needed one. 3rd and long. Big stop on the line. You'll hear it. The crowd builds. And then comes the thunderous roar. Raiders. Raiders. Say what you want about visiting fans. When it's time to get loud for the silver and black, the building shakes. The passion is there. Always has been. Always will be. But now, there's something worth shouting for. This offense. It's different. Geno Smith brings experience, stability, and most importantly, trust. Trust from Pete Carroll. Trust from the staff. Trust that this team no longer needs to gamble on a rookie quarterback or overpay for a fading veteran. And behind the scenes, there's a trio of minds helping reshape this unit. Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, Greg Olsen. That's where things get interesting. Chip Kelly is expected to unlock the run game. Scheme space. Widen lanes. Use tempo. Use motion. If Samir White is going to emerge as a real contributor, this is the year. If Zeus has another gear, Kelly's system will bring it out. Greg Olsen. He's the quarterback whisperer, multiple stints under Gruden. Hired by McVay. Trusted by Carroll. His influence is already showing in Aidan O'Connell. He's no longer just a backup. He's a project with potential, a player with the right coach in his ear. But perhaps the biggest shift, the Raiders flipped the script. For the last few years, the defense was the storyline. Maxx Crosby, Nate Hobbs, Divine Deblo, they carried the banner. The offense lagged behind. Now the buzz is on offense. The firepower, the coaching, the design. Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, Ashton Jeanty, Jakobi Meyers. This isn't just potential. This is an actual plan. An identity built to pound defenses and keep them guessing. Of course, there are questions. Will Christian Wilkins be ready? Can the young defensive line stay healthy? Can the defense hold up its end? But one thing is clear, this offense is going to surprise people. It's built to move, built to attack, built to win. And for the first time in a long time, Raider Nation has a reason to believe that the team with the ball might just be the one dictating terms. The Coliseum was chaos. Allegiant is about to become electric. The conversation around Geno Smith continues. Some see him as an upgrade. Others see him as a band-aid. STL Raider raised a fair point. When you talk quarterback matchups, context matters. Offensive lines, play callers, supporting weapons. But when the Raiders take the field in 2025, it's not about hypotheticals or trade scenarios. It's about one thing. Do they finally have the better quarterback? For years, they didn't. Since Derek Carr's departure, the silver and black have been on the wrong end of nearly every quarterback duel. But now, with Geno Smith under center, the dynamic shifts. He's not elite. He's not perfect. But for the first time in a while, the Raiders walk into several games this year with a legitimate edge at quarterback. Still, doubt lingers. Raider Russ didn't mince words. In his eyes, Geno Smith is a stopgap, a short-term fix for a long-term problem. 34 years old, a career filled with ups and downs. And in Russ's gut, he believes by week 3, maybe week 5, Raider Nation will be ready to move on. It's the same concern for Aidan O'Connell. 2 quarterbacks. No clear answer. Expectations low. But that's the story of every season in silver and black for now. Truth is, Geno Smith wasn't plan A. After Stafford didn't materialize, the Raiders pivoted. And that pivot bought them time. Time to build, time to stabilize. Time to get the right guy instead of just a guy. Smith may not be the future, but he's a proven veteran, a steady hand. And perhaps most importantly, he spared this franchise from desperation. He doesn't need to be elite. He just needs to be better than what they've had. Geno Smith threw for over 4,000 yards last season. But the numbers tell 2 stories. 21 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. That ratio must change. Closer to 30 touchdowns. Fewer than 10 picks. That's the standard if the Raiders want to compete in 2025. And then there's the sack total, 50 times he hit the turf. Second most in the league. That can't happen again. It wasn't all on Geno. Seattle's offensive line crumbled. But in Las Vegas, the protection has to be better. If the offensive line doesn't hold, it won't matter how good Ashton Jeanty is. It won't matter how mobile Geno Smith might be. It won't matter how many weapons this offense has. No holes. No protection. No progress. And that brings us to Jamario, calling in from Columbus, Ohio. His take. Focus on the chemistry. Geno Smith, Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly. If that trio clicks, the offense could open up in ways Raider Nation hasn't seen in years. Chip Kelly's scheme is built to create space. Ashton Jeanty thrives in space. The box won't be stacked like it was in 2024. Not with deep threats like Tyquan Thornton, route technicians like Jakobi Meyers, and a matchup nightmare named Brock Bowers lurking over the middle. Geno doesn't have to be Lamar Jackson. He doesn't need to run wild. He just needs to keep defenses honest and deliver the ball on time. And with this cast of weapons, Jeanty, Bowers, Meyers, Thornton, Besh, if Geno can distribute, this offense could explode. As Jamario put it, we've got the talent. Now it's time to see it happen. In football, like in life, everything begins at the root. And for the 2025 Raiders, that root is the run game. Pete Carroll knows it. Chip Kelly schemes for it. Geno Smith will rely on it. It's the trunk of the tree. The play action. That's a branch. The deep shots to Tyquan Thornton. Another branch. Meyers over the middle. Brock Bowers splitting the seams. All branches. But it all grows from one place. Ashton Jeanty and the ground attack. And Raider Nation knows trees don't grow without roots planted deep. Then came the voice of Strange Raider from the Bay. He doesn't just see a blueprint, he sees a prophecy. Pete Carroll had the Legion of Boom. The Raiders? We're building the Legion of Doom. Not with big names bought at a premium, but with homegrown stars. With talent developed, not delivered. No more chasing. Just building. No more borrowing. Just becoming. On the Locked On Raiders squad, the voices are getting louder. Lincoln Kennedy, Chantal Chand, and Q Meyers, different perspectives, one mission. Training camp is 11 days away. And if you listen closely, you can already hear it. The pads cracking. The cleats cutting. The sound of a new chapter about to begin. So until the silver and black take the field in Henderson, until the lights come on in Allegiant, one thing remains true. Just win, baby.